name's Steve Moruzzi. We're here at the Laars training facility. We're going to talk about our Mighty Therm2 or the Bradford White Brute Deluxe. This training is intended for licensed contractors. You must shut off gas and electric prior to doing any service. I'm going to start by removing the panels. Okay, we're going to troubleshoot the safety circuit. I'm going to start by powering up the boiler, and then we're going to walk through the terminal strip. Alright, so I've got my voltmeter hooked up to voltage. I'm just going to clamp it here to hold it in position so you can see it. I want to mention to you, all of our yellow wires here are 24 volt common. So I'm going to start with 1 voltmeter and put it on 24 volt common here on terminal 10. Okay, now there are 2 sets of terminals for terminal 10. Any one of those. The next one over here is 24 volt power. I'm going to come over to my 24 volt power, which is 2 terminals here as well. And I'm going to place it here, and as you can see, I do not have voltage. Okay? So that's telling me that either I don't have line voltage or 120 volts coming in, or I have a blown fuse. So I'm going to double check my power. And in this case, I do have power coming into the boiler, but as you can see, I do not have 24 volts between terminal 1 and terminal 10. So, what's in line there is our transformer and a bus fuse holder. And for this example, I simply took the fuse out of the boiler. Okay? So double check your fuse if that's the case. I'll put this back in. And now we're going to go back to the terminal strip, and I also want to show you, now you can see there's an LED light here on the fan wall ignition control. So I know I have 24 volt power, but we're going to check it anyways. Start with 1 meter lead on 24 volt common. Over here I can either go to terminal 1 or terminal 2. You can see I'm reading 25.1 volts on either one of these terminals. So now I'm very simply just going to walk through this terminal strip. So here you can see terminal 2 reads high limit blocked flue. Alright, so that's going to be my next test. There's also something else in the circuit that I'll show you in a minute. So 24 volt common, come over here, I got my power, next terminal over, terminal 2, I do not have voltage. So that's telling me that the high limit blocked flue, something there is open or something else in the safety circuit. So if you have what's called CSD1 controls, a low water cutoff, high gas pressure, low gas pressure, double check those. Okay, on startup that will be tripped on a CSD1 boiler. So in this case I have a high gas pressure switch and a low gas pressure switch. I'm going to reset my gas pressure switches. Okay, and just make sure that I have gas to the boiler. Here are our terminal strips. Okay, I mentioned number 10 is 24 volt common with the yellow wires. Terminal 1 brings power in, 1 and 1A. So that goes off to our low gas pressure switch, our high gas pressure switch, the limit, blocked flue, manual reset high limit. Okay, and then back to terminal 2. So what we have here was the open gas pressure switch to terminal 2, which I've just reset. So now that you can see I've reset the gas pressure switch, I'll start at terminal 1, I have it, and terminal 2, I now have 25 volts. I'm then going to go to terminal 3. Here's my terminal 3, I have 25 volts there. Terminal 4, which it says field interlock, okay, I'm going to go there and I do not have voltage there. This, as it leaves the factory, will have a jumper wire on terminal 3 and 4. However, in the field, you may have an aquastat or energy management may control this. If you're troubleshooting the boiler, remove your field connections and reconnect a jumper lead. Okay? Also, what I want to mention to you is we have local or remote terminal here. If energy management is controlling this for the staging, put it back from remote back to local. That way we're troubleshooting our boiler, not the whole system yet. Okay? I'm going to put a jumper on my terminal 3 and terminal 4 for call for heat. Okay? With the meter, I can walk through it. I have it at 20. I have it here at terminal 3. I now have it here at terminal 4. I then go to my proof of fan. Alright, I also have it in my proof of fan. I do want to mention to you, if you don't have it there, okay, you need to check your blower, or, now a lot of times if your air pressure switch, which is right here, is not made, people have replaced igniters, and then they want to test the boiler. This cover has to be on, or all of your air pressure is coming out here, and therefore your pressure switch won't make. Also, when putting it back on, put all of the screws back in, because if I only put 2 screws in, I've got air gappage on the bottom, and all that air pressure is going to come out, and it will not make the pressure switch. So make sure this is back on tight. Okay, so again, we've then checked the proof of fan. Next, we're going to walk across. The boiler still doesn't fire, so I have it here at proof of fan, but I do not have it at my flow switch. Alright, that means something's going on with the pump, the coupling, the flow switch paddle. Double check to make sure your pump is running, etc. Alright, in this example, I left our pump off, so I'm going to power up our pump. So now, I have my flow switch made, which now I'm going to start going in for a call for heat. Okay? Looking at our ignition control, you'll see that single flash. That's telling me my igniter is now being energized. I'm going to put an amp probe on there, and we're looking for 3.4 amps or greater. And now we just lit off. Okay, lastly, I just want to talk about the ignition control and the fault codes. So, as we can see right here, we're flashing 3 flashes. And when you look on the codes here, 3 flashes will show you ignition lockout. It's a manual reset. So here are our codes. 1 single flash would be low air. So there's a reset button right here. That little black reset button right there. That is reset for the ignition control. So I'm going to press the reset button, and now we have a steady on line. Once the fan comes on and proves the fan, and our flow switch and everything else in the safety chain is made, we'll see a single flash. And now with an amp probe, I can put my amp probe on either one of the wires, and we'll see that we're looking, again, 3.4 or greater for amperage, okay? If we don't, that means you have a bad igniter, and that's why we went into the ignition fault. On CSD1, it'll only be a single try for ignition, and that's certain safeties that we would have, high-low gas pressure switches, low water cutoff, etc. On a non-CSD1, would be 3 tries for ignition before it shows a hard lockout. And what I did to simulate this was I very simply shut off the gas valves, and that way I was able to test the igniter and put it into a trouble fault. So that's a very simple test to walk through the safety chain. If you have any questions, please contact the factory at 1-800-900-9276. Thank you.